Hey there, YouTubers. Alright, so this is a variation of another video I did on a different channel. We're calling this one Everything You Need to Know About Intel's 13th Gen. So I have bought the i5 13600KF, the i7 13700K, and the i9 13900K. Now, really this just deals with unlocked, alright, because the locked ones aren't out yet. So let's get into it. Now, motherboards, folks. All kinds of issues out there with Z690s and some of the 600s, other 600 series to include B660s, H670s. We completely steer away from the H610, but 700 series, folks, appears to equal less headaches. All right, and I'm not necessarily going to read every little bullet on these slides. You can tell this was done in PowerPoint. So we'll just kind of skip around from what I've seen. But, if you are going to buy a 600 series motherboard and you don't want to buy a 12th gen, or you don't already have a 12th gen, you're going to want to buy something like this awesome Aorus Elite Z690 that I have. This has right here a BIOS update button, and somewhere in here is a dedicated BIOS USB. All right, so this is all you have to do for a setup, folks. There's a power supply here you can't see. It is connected to 24 pin over here. You don't even need the CPU power connector, and you don't need this power switch. You don't need RAM. You don't need a CPU. You don't need a graphics card. All you need is a USB formatted to FAT32 and the BIOS file renamed on it if you're going to buy a Gigabyte one. So this says Aorus. Gigabyte makes Aorus, right? All right, so it's that simple. Once you put that USB drive in with the file, you hit this button, wait 8 to 10 minutes while it flashes orange, and you'll have an updated BIOS, and then you can install your 13th gen CPU. So if you're going to go the 600 series route, which means cost savings, right? Those are the ones you should look for. Now, the Z790 version of this one is about 60 bucks more. And so it's not going to be that different, right? All right, so now if you don't go that route and you're like, gee, why do I not have a video? What's going on here? I've got another video that I show if you install a 13th gen in a 600 series motherboard that doesn't have an updated BIOS, what happens there. Basically black screen, right? It's not going to work. So you may, if you buy one that doesn't have this capability up here, you're going to have to buy a 12th gen, and the Celeron CPU is the cheapest route to go there. Next followed by the Pentium G7400, right? The 12th gen G6900 is this guy. All right, so Z790 is expensive, but possibly worth it for the unlocked 13th gens. Probably be the same thing when the 700 series comes out for the lock CPUs, but that's not what this video is about. Avoid lower end motherboards. So H610M is not meant for something as awesome as even the i5 13600K. All right, steer away from that. They do not have the good VRMs, power stages, heat sinks that you need for a CPU that hot. Plus, a good chance you can't even adjust the power limits to what they need to be, and you're going to lose performance. The same with the cheaper B660Ms. If that one is less than $100, total waste of money. So where do you need to be price-wise? Probably about 140 to 160. I think we talk about that on the next slide. Yeah. So if you're going to go 600 series, look for the B660s that start at 140. On eBay, they should be less. Z690s that are over 200. And personally, right now, I would steer clear of Asus Prime. I've had good luck with the MSI Pro that I have. I've had good luck with the Gigabyte Z690UD that I have, as well as the Aorus. All right. I've had good luck with my Gigabyte Gaming X B660. But yeah, Asus, I don't know what their deal is. Now Z790s may be your best bet, starting 179, but I'm thinking you're going to probably want to spend at least 260 to get a decent one. BIOS updates might not fix all the issues, folks. Well, this is a true statement. You know, I have the most up-to-date BIOS on all of those motherboards, and I have, I think, 7 Z690s right now, and we've had more in here, but you know, you might have the most updated BIOS, but you may end up with issues that mean lower performance or significantly less Cinebench benchmarks. As stated before, ASUS. So I have a D4 and a D5 ASUS E690. Those videos are available. Nothing but headaches there as far as trying to get the performance up. Now, to solve some of these issues, you may have to adjust core voltage or undervolt. If you know what you're doing there, then you can get that motherboard back to performing about where it needs to. So people have made other comments that you may need to do additional non-BIOS updates to get your Z690 working properly. Now, I have not done any of the other updates, haven't messed with any firmware updates, and so we cannot say with 100% that this is going to benefit you all, but would not surprise me. All right. CPU coolers. All right. So for the i13-600K and KF, we're going to break this down by the 3 CPUs that are out, or basically there's 6 CPUs, but you know, something like this one, you can get away with a Noctua NHU14S up to a Noctua D14, D15. Now, if you want to go crazy and overclock it, you know, you're going to have to undervolt and do some other things where you may be more in need of a D14 or D15, or even the, I call it a clone, a Thermalright Frost Commander 140. Believe, you know, Noctuas definitely were out sooner because they have the better mounting brackets. And this guy, which is a great CPU for $46. I didn't even type that in there off Amazon. So I love this thing for the price. But yeah, you'll be able to overclock. Benchmarks are much greater than the i5, so significant increase in performance. Temps are rather low during gaming, but run hot in benchmarking. All right, so moving on, folks. Now the i7, I could not find a air cooler I was really happy with besides gaming. All right, had to be undervolted to make it work, and I throw in some things very similar to what you saw there, but you can't expect thermal throttling using air cooler during Cinebench R23, especially if you run the 10-minute one. The 1-minute one you might get away with it, but the 10-minute, it's probably gonna thermal throttle on you. Now, like I said, can be overclocked with an undervolt. Benchmarks, surprisingly, I want to say destroy the i9-12900 that I have. But then, you know, when you get back into gaming, temps are rather low. So it's really these benchmarks that, you know, suck up more juice out of these CPUs and cause them to really run hot. Now, water coolers, you know, I say to hit all the boxes, you need a water cooler. If you really have significant benchmark scores out of this thing, you're probably looking at a 280 or 360 or even the 420 AIO, right? But 420 is a little excessive for this one. Now the i9, folks. Air coolers be worse than an i7. I wouldn't even waste my time with a air cooler. But undervolting, potentially, you know, some other adjustments, you could get by. You could also disable turbo boost if you wanted to, right? So this CPU, is a monster. If you really wanted to buy it now and all you had was an air cooler, that may be your solution. So water coolers, to hit all the boxes, you need a water cooler. Easily hits 38 to 40,000 on Cinebench R23 with a 420 millimeter. Viewers have recommended, the 260 to 280 to 360, excuse me. And then I stated I bought a 420. So, couple things here. Let's open this up. So this is an i9 in here. This isn't the most power uses I've seen used by this thing, all right? Power limits unlimited. Running a benchmark, 304, all right? And you can see the temps in this example, 89. I can't see in here if this thing had was undervolted, but you can see for this example where the temps are. And so that's, actually this is from running that separately, okay? This is from running Cinebench. So the temps are significantly higher than XTU. Now, as I stated, the only way I could get decent scores out of the i9 was to have a big water cooler, okay? So this is almost 39,000 without much adjustment except for power limits. And so let's see, eventually I'm going to show you what you can get if you undervolt it. And here it is, folks. So what does undervolting means? To decrease the voltage reached in the processor and CPU with the goal of maintaining stability. Benefits: cooler temps on those CPUs, right? And less chance of thermal throttle. Maybe used to use existing CPU cooler without upgrading, right? So this could be air or water. Can be done from XTU, and in a second I'll bring this in. May increase overall scores. It is what I needed for my i9 to hit 40K on R23. I'll show you that as well. Will increase overall scores if it avoids thermal throttle. So let's pop this open. Now in XTU, and I'm not going to show you in BIOS because it's in all kinds of different places, but behind this, and unfortunately this is blocking it, but this is where you change to an undervolt, or if you wanted to overvolt for whatever reason. So what does this do? Lower temps, can improve performance. And you see this is basically negative 70 millivolts here, okay? If you go the other way, it'd be, positive or plus 70 millivolts. That would increase the temperature, and you may actually see a performance increase. I can't say I recommend overvolting, as it's not something I'm really familiar with. Undervolting, though, at least keeps the temps down, but there is a limit to how far you can undervolt. All right, so you can see over here temps are even lower than in the other XTU screenshot that I showed you. Oops. Let me put this back, folks. Now here is my scores. Let me just make sure we're still recording. All right. So with that undervolt, I finally got over 40,000. All right. And this is without an overclock. So that to me is honestly the way to go for this. Now negatives, possible performance loss, depends on where you dial it in. When I say this, you may have increased your multi-core performance, but it may affect your single core performance, all right? And that, can affect gaming. Instability, you go too far, you might end up with a blue screen or other errors, and it could affect the lifespan of your components, all right? So something to watch out for. CPU frame. Supposedly, folks, you may see 8 degrees Celsius benefit. I think this was more for 12th gen CPUs than it is 13th, but the people at Arctic was it Arctic? No, Ice Giant, excuse me, had stated, that for the i9 13900K that this bracket would make a difference. Well, I'm not even going to try it personally, but I do have the Ice Giant Siphon Pro. So some of these may not be created equally. I just show you thermal right there, but there's even cheaper ones, and there is the Thermal Grizzly one, which is about 46 bucks. My test of the Thermalright model, one of these guys, I think it's this 1299 one, exhibited no changes in temps with the i5 13600KF. So maybe you need an i9, maybe you need a 12th gen i9. All right, expensive, right? All this stuff is more expensive. I don't think inflation really is that factored into this, but it could be. Price is higher than any previous generation. The i5, starts 309. i7 429. I've seen the i9 13900K as low as 619 on Amazon. I paid a little bit more than that for the i9 13900KF. Your cooler choice will cost you at least $100, if not double that. So spend closer to $150 on a water cooler if you buy the i9 13900K, and then those CPU frames, $14 to $46. So what else? Of course, if you're going to buy a massive water cooler, you also need a massive case, right? Full size case. You're not going to be able to stick that in a dinky case if you buy the 420 AIO, all right? Um, RAM, obviously DDR5 is more expensive than DDR4. I don't know that I've noticed a significant increase in performance either way with that, but you should expect if you're buying 7000 megahertz DDR5 RAM, that's going to work better. And Windows, I see no difference in performance really between Windows 10 and 11. They can recommend all that they want. They use Windows 11. Similar results have been achieved from the bigger YouTubers, right? So that's about going to do it, folks. I hope you got something out of this. Thanks for checking out the video. I've got all kinds of gaming and benchmark videos available for you all to check out. Thank you.